All right, since we already have quorum, I'm going to go ahead and call this evening's meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the City of Florence to order. First item on this evening's agenda is approval of the minutes of December 17, 2020. Members of the board have had ample time to review the minutes. Are there any additions or changes to the minutes from any members of the board?
No, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, do we have a second? Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, minutes are approved. Next item on this evening's agenda is BZA hearing 2021-01. Variance request from the setback requirements in table 2-6.1.1 in the Unified Development Ordinance for a commercial building. Location is 1360 Celebration Boulevard, tax map number 00100-01-135. Owner of record is Shahir Rishmawi. The applicant is Shahir Rishmawi, and I understand Bob Weaver is going to be speaking on behalf of the applicant. Mr. Weaver, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm online.
All right,
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. I just want to make sure you were there. We're gonna.
I'm not visible, but you can hear me.
That's okay. That's fine. We're going to get to you in a second. Let me run through some things. I just want to make sure you're on the line and can hear us. The members of the board will now hear from the city staff.
All right, thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. I can't see the slideshow. Danny, is there any way you can move the toolbar on top? Sorry, the slideshow is blocked. I can't get a full slideshow. Oh, you got it. I knew that. Thank you, IT department. All right, so this is 1360 Celebration Boulevard. Here it is on in between Celebration Boulevard and Jubilee Drive. It's right next to Habitat for Humanity. It is zoned commercial general, and behind it or to the north is a planned development district. This is actually a Celebration Point planned development district. This is going to be a future duplex development, and the duplex development will contain a type C buffer yard on its property to buffer it from any commercial uses. The future land use is commercial auto urban, and the applicant is requesting a variance from the current Unified Development Ordinance setbacks back to the old B3 setbacks from the previous zoning ordinance. So here's a table just comparing the Unified Development Ordinance on the left with the lot width needing to be at least 200 feet in width, the front setback 50, the side 20, and the rear 40, which is a big difference from the B3 standards in the old zoning ordinance, where the lot width was only 50, the front yard setback was 35, the side setback was 5, and the rear was 20. Here is a plat that was recorded back in January of 2009 when the land was originally subdivided and most likely subdivided to meet the B3 standards of the time. This was before the Unified Development Ordinance was put into place. And here is a boundary and topographic survey from November of last year. And this just shows some of the easements on the property. Along the front, there's a 10-foot power easement, as well as a 20-foot stormwater easement. And then again on the side, there is another easement to the southeast side of the parcel. This would not affect the buildable area for a commercial general district. The required front setback for commercial general is 50 feet, so it wouldn't make a difference. And the easements along the southeastern property line, the side setback would be 20, and the easement on the southeast is only 15. So those easements would not affect the buildable area. So here is a sketch that we got from the applicant and the design engineer yesterday, I believe. And this is just proposed development, possibly a restaurant, as well as a retail space on this parcel. And the you can see the box, the orange box is showing the setbacks in the commercial general. And then you have the dashed red lines, which show the proposed structures. So as you can see, they are a little bit past the setbacks of the Unified Development Ordinance. And the design engineer pointed out that the 11,000 square feet used for development is really only 29% of the total lot. Here's some site photos of Celebration. It's just a vacant lot at this time. And some variance conditions, possible variance conditions, that a variance from the terms of this ordinance will not be contrary to the public interest. This parcel was subdivided in 2009 to meet the lot standards of the 2008 zoning ordinance for the B3 district. Relaxing the setback requirements would allow the owner to develop his property as originally intended. That the spirit of the ordinance and public safety and welfare will be secured. The parcel to be developed has a present and future land use that is auto-urban in nature, and it is surrounded by commercial uses on 3 sides. The property shared with the disparate use to the north, Celebration Point, is going to install a type C buffer yard mitigating commercial development. Number 3, that there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. The buildable area on this parcel is limited by its depth more than anything, which is approximately 165 feet. The lot was recorded in 2009 to meet B3 standards of the old ordinance. And now that it's subject to the Unified Development Ordinance, it limits the buildable area greatly. These conditions do not apply to other property in the vicinity. The hardship is limited to this parcel because of the depth of the parcel in meeting former setbacks. The Celebration Corridor does have other parcels of similar sizes that were developed under the old code, and there are also newer developments on larger parcels that can meet the Unified Development Ordinance. So it's a difference of size. Number 5, that because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the current setbacks for commercial building in the CG district would restrict the owner from constructing his desired business. And lastly, number 6, that the authorization of variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property owners. Celebration Boulevard does have a mixture of buildings construction before and after the current setbacks were codified. The relaxing of current setbacks to that of the B3 standards would not be out of character for Celebration. And that does conclude staff's report.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for staff from members of the board?
Yes, sir. Larry, or I'm sorry, this is for the board. I mean, the city actually. With the B3, I'm sorry, right now, the was that commercial general? Is that, are you saying that that's the same as what B3 was, or are they, where's that at right now?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the commercial general that he has that is currently zoned, the applicant would like to go back to the setbacks from the B3 zoning district.
So was it already zoned B3 originally?
It was most likely, yes, zoned to B3.
Yeah, Mr. Or Nathaniel, the original zoning of the parcels were B3. When we adopted the Unified Development Code, it switched over to commercial general, which was similar in use, but there is a big difference in the setback requirements for these lots. So there are a number of pre-existing lots around the city that are smaller, and this may come to the board in the future, I guess is what I'm saying, because there are a number of these pre-existing lots, and while they will support development, it does severely limit the size of the building that can go on the piece of property. Currently, right now, we're taking through Planning Commission and City Council an amendment to the code that allows, some, I guess, alternative setbacks based on the character of the area. So we're trying to work on this. It's not making it through in time for this, and I don't know that it would exactly work for this because there are some larger parcels. It's kind of a mixed bag in this area where you have developed lots from the Palmetto Street up to this lot that are developed very much like the old B3 standards, a lot of smaller lots, but then some of the lots to the south back towards, I guess that's Cashua, they, a lot of those lots were not subdivided, previously under the old code, and they may have the area to do this. So this lot kind of falls in an odd area.
And so the biggest difference between the commercial general and the B3 is you're indicating what, just the setback lines?
That's correct. Lot
That's
width
the biggest
and
difference.
setback lines, and the setback lines are what's restricting this particular development.
And so if they're asking, are y'all gonna, with the zoning, is it gonna be commercial general? That's what they're aiming for?
Yes, that's what it's currently zoned.
It's currently commercial general.
That's right. It's currently commercial general, but it used to be B3. But when B3 went away with the new code, this took its place.
Now, B3 doesn't exist in the city no more?
That's correct. Under the new Unified Development Code, the B3 does not exist anymore. It's now called commercial general.
Well, Mr. Dudley, I do apologize. Now, as far as we do commercial real estate, and that's my forte as far as, but there are still, I guess, the grandfathered in, I guess, in that sense. But B3, as far as I understand, general commercial, B3 is pretty much the highest grade you can get. But if that doesn't exist anymore, that must apply to anything that's coming in today, right, or in the future. But they still do exist, or do they not? Because it's grandfathered in, obviously, it has to be.
Right. Anything that was zoned B3 is now, it's kind of a nomenclature, or it's just a change in name to the commercial general. It's now called commercial general under the Unified Development Code. But with that comes a different set of setbacks that were adopted as part of that code.
And they're more strenuous as far as commercial general.
That's right. They are more strict than the old B3, yes.
Okay, but other ones are obviously grandfathered in, and if they need to make changes, like obviously we're going through today, they need this before they build, and they will be grandfathered in if they were already there beforehand.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr.
Any
President.
lots of this nature would require a variance in order to revert back to the old zone.
I got you. Okay, all right. Thank you for making that
That's
clear.
why I say there may be some more of these that come before the board in the future.
Well, absolutely, commercial, business, commercial. I think they just being a little strenuous on the setback lines. I think we can work with them as we're doing today. Thank you, Ms. Dudley.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. Are there any other questions for city staff, for members of the board? All right, thank you very much. And Mr. Weaver, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right. If you don't mind, sir, I'm going to try to swear you in, even though I can't see you. So this is 2020 times 2, so 2021. Do you promise that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. You may now proceed.
Okay, I was basically going to answer any questions you have. I think Derek did a good job of explaining the zoning here. I engineered all of Celebration Center and Somerset over 20 some years ago, and we always intended for it to stay B3. when the city did the citywide zoning, it changed everything, and it affected properties all over town, but especially Celebration Center and even on Hoffmeyer Road, Beltline Boulevard is another example. So I think given this variance based on what we've written here on the different items in the previous presentation, allow him to build what he wants to build here. The setbacks really prevent you from having a decent sized building on this property and work in your parking. If we can shift the buildings back, then we can put the parking in front, which you see in most places on Celebration Boulevard, and still do the landscaping and work around these easements that you see on this plat. So I think that would work if we can reduce the back setbacks and the side setbacks.
I got you. And just as a point of clarification for myself and anybody else, there's no proposed structure that's going to be constructed on this site right now. The nature of the lot will not change. We're just looking at working with you to, I guess, honor the original variances of 2008, 2009.
That's correct.
Okay, I got you. All right. Are there any questions from members of the board?
Yeah, yes, Larry, or Mr. Weaver, thank you so much for showing up. Even can't see you, but I can kind of remember you a little bit. At attachment A, we don't have it. That's not a recent map, obviously, right?
The attachment A with the color orange and red
Yes, sir.
sketches on it.
Correct. There's other.
That's a current. That's a handwritten map by me, just in color, so you could visualize how a building would encroach into the present setbacks. That's why I put it in color in a rough sketch, because without knowing what the board would do on the setbacks, it would be, we just couldn't do a final drawing not knowing how you. He wants to put in a lot. These restaurants now are long and skinny. Most of them I'm designing, like Burger Kings and Taco Bells and Zaxby's and everything else. They usually you have a double drive-through now, and you have a narrow building, but it's longer, and it won't fit on this site. That's the first item. And then the retail, you need to be able to kind of match what you have on the other side, so you can put parking. Try to put some parking in the middle and parking in the front.
Mr. Weaver, I think we're on the wrong page. As far as I have my documents in your drawing, this looks like an aerial. Page 11, and it's attachment A, vicinity map 1360 Celebration Boulevard. It looks like an aerial.
It should be a
Okay, I think that's the city's map.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I'm referring to. And if you look at it, that's obviously, that's an older, correct? Because as far as I remember, I haven't been by there in a while. But right behind, if you're looking at the vicinity map, directly across from the real estate board, I believe have they not constructed something there already?
That's the Benton House.
Yes, sir.
We engineered the Benton House. That's a 50,000 square foot building.
And that's not represented here in the map, correct?
No, that's not on here. That's not beside this site. The Habitat for Humanity is next to this site we're talking about tonight. The Benton House also had to get a text amendment to do what they did, because the ordinance would not allow it. That was something different. That's not.
They were approved though, Mr. Weaver, correct?
Yes, they were approved and it's in operation.
Okay, well, that was already approved, and seems like what we're talking about tonight is pretty much along the same basis. They had to abide by certain easements and a little leeway as part B3 and commercial general, and seems like they've already kind of answered as far as the last one, that the retirement home's already been built, and that takes up quite a large area. And you do see the aerial I'm talking about with the maps, correct?
I don't see anything but the chairman. Sorry. I don't see the map in front of me.
Is
I
there
see the city seal.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, is there any way we can pull up a map that the city has provided for us on page 11 BZA, the attachment A?
Yes,
So
we're back to that.
yes, because they've already built, and Mr. Weaver, he's in charge of that whole thing as far as the designing the place. And if that's already been built, which is looks great. There you go. No, all right, well, there you go, right there. Yes, sir. Back up. One more. Back up. There you go, right there. Mr. Weaver, if you go down, I guess there's not north and south, but right across from the real estate board, there you go, right there, where if you look at the mouse somebody's doing, they've already constructed that. So obviously it's an older map, and your designs from many years ago, that's been pushed through, and we didn't even have to see that on the board, correct?
That's correct. This map's older. The Benton house is complete. Yes. It goes exactly where your cursor was proposed there.
Wonderful. I'm sorry that you didn't have the same map. I do apologize, but okay. I just wanted to verify that and make sure all of us on the board understands that that piece that they just showed the cursor has already been developed, and it sure looks wonderful.
Good deal. All right. Appreciate it, Mr. Poston. Are there any other questions for Mr. Weaver from members of the board? All right, Mr. Weaver, we thank you very much. Chair will now entertain a motion to either approve or deny the variance request from members of the board. The members of the board that wish to make a motion? Oh, now y'all get quiet. All right. The chair will now make a motion that we approve the variance request based on the following findings of fact. That a variance from the terms of this ordinance will not be contrary to the public interest, or owing to special conditions, a liberal enforcement of the provision will, in an individual case, result in an unnecessary hardship. This parcel was subdivided in 2009 to meet the lot standards of the 2008 zoning ordinance, and relaxing this setback requirement would allow the owner to develop the property as intended. Number two, that the spirit of the ordinance will be observed, public safety and welfare secured, and substantial justice done. The parcel to be developed has a present and future land use that is commercial in nature, which sticks to the original zoning of this piece of property. The property line shared with the duplex development is required to install a type C buffer yard, mitigating commercial development adjacent to the residential development. Number three, that there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. The buildable area of this parcel is limited in its depth to approximately 165 feet. The lot was recorded originally in 2009 to meet the B3 standards of the time, but is now subject to the requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance, which limits the buildable area of the existing lot. Four, that these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. The hardship is limited to this parcel because of the depth of the parcel in relation to the current required setbacks. Celebration Corridor has parcels of similar size that were developed during the previous 2008 zoning ordinance, with the newer developments having larger parcels to account for the larger minimum lot widths and setbacks contained in the current Unified Development Ordinance. And number five, that because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property as follows. The current setbacks for commercial building in the commercial general district would restrict the owner from constructing his desired business. And finally, number 6, that the authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance because Celebration Boulevard development has a mixture of buildings constructed before and after the Unified Development Ordinance's commercial general setbacks were codified. The relaxing of current setbacks to that of the B3 standards would not be out of character. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried. The variance request is approved. Mr. Weaver, we thank you very much for your time. That is all we have for you this evening. You're welcome to stick around for the next 2 seconds, but that's up to you. But we thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Are there any other items that need to be discussed before we adjourn, either from city staff or from members of the board? All right, there being none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you guys very much, and I appreciate everybody being on time. That was
Thank you,
good.
sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.